Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you guys for joining me again. My name is Wilky, and here we are with a quick preparation guide for those of you who do suffer FOMO, the fear of missing out. This is a quick guide on how I personally plan to prepare for the upcoming Prismverse clash, and more importantly, actually for the server afterwards. And the reasoning for me is fairly simple. I don't exactly know how the Prismverse clash is going to play out. Most importantly, I don't really know how the acquisition of materials and stuff like that is gonna go. Since it is a PvP-based scenario, there's no good, there are save zones and stuff like that, we've seen the video. But in general, I don't know how much time we will have to farm materials and everything, as opposed to the scenario that we're currently in. And in that regard, I'm preparing for Prismverse Clash, but more importantly, I'm preparing for the Way of Winter, or whatever your new server may be. And for that, I prepared a very tiny few things. Ignore the inventory, but what's important here is this. We talked about this in the other video where we had the switcheroo from one to other and all the points and stuff like that. In case you remember, you have your space-time backpack and you can transfer stuff. We don't really know how this is going to go for the Prismverse class, whether or not we're going to be able to take stuff or not. But presumably for the Way of Winter, we're probably going to be able to take stuff with us. And in that regard, I prepared 2 advanced electric rock drills, because if we can get stuff onto the Prismverse clash, then I'm definitely going to take one of those with me, alongside another one that I prepared for the server afterwards. I'm currently crafting a couple high voltages and fuses. These items are typically not super hard to come by, but they are annoying to make early on, and especially fuses are super cheap to make. So when I have a couple of these at hand, and if we're just going to take a look at my workbench, you can see that I'm crafting quite a few of those. And at this point in time, on pretty much any server, you should have enough materials to craft a plethora of those, right? We have 6k electronic parts, well above 20,000 acid, 6k rubbers, and steel is really not an issue at all. And for fuses, I think this one's even simpler. Obviously, if you're more of a fan of the chainsaw, then you can do that as well. But for that regard, I also made a tungsten alloy pickaxe. And remember that if you have the Memetic specializations, the perk carries on to these items. I don't have the Moonlight Miner. This is what the perk is called for the pickaxe, so that gives you extra yield and even more extra yield during the night, but this is really just there to kickstart my new journey. So these items are definitely something that I would prepare, and all of these in the top row, essentially everything except for the calibration, can be farmed and prepared up front. These are just here as a surrogate placeholder. If you're planning to use any sort of harvesting or planting, then I think it's now's the right time to prepare some of the seeds. As I said, here are tungsten axes and electric drills. Canned seafood and oil, for those of you who do remember the video, this is something that is incredibly powerful for how cheap it is and how simple it is to just get 1 or 2 of those on a new server. If you pair that with your advanced drill, you can get so much stuff early on in the game that you may not have to farm ever again for a couple days, or at least bridge the gap until you get either the memetics to craft new drills, or maybe go back to your solo drill if you so desire. That is definitely something that I prepare. Obviously, if you want to prepare healings and stuff like that, this is obviously something that you can do, but really this is all the kits and all the stuffs that I will be preparing. Obviously there's going to be some materials and stuff like that, but I just slapped this here together in case that you're looking for. I already mentioned the calibrations. The reason I want to specify this a little bit more is calibrations are RNG, so you can't really just farm them as you can farm materials and craft stuff. So whether or not RNG blesses you with a calibration, or you have somebody on your server that sells a specific calibration that you need, is not always in your hands. However, if you do have the time and you do feel like farming, then this is definitely something that you can do. Likewise, the same goes for any of the deviations or deviants here. If you do have the time and you want to get specific deviants for future servers, then definitely farm that. In the past, these have cost 800 of the resource or of the currency. This is definitely something worthwhile to get. Other than that, the idea is still there to maybe bring a gun with you. I personally don't think it's going to be worth it, so for me, really, This is all that I'm going to be preparing or have prepared for the new servers. As I said, these will be parked in your Eternal Land. And just to be sure, really, you could craft even 4 drills if you want to. Remember though, anything that is tied to Memetic specialization will not go to your Eternal Land pack. So even if I craft a couple solar drills, those will not be transferable. So anything that is tied to any specific Memetic specialization will not be able to be parked or crafted up front. So as I said, these are definitely things that I would go for. If you have any other usable or consumable that is maybe expensive or useful for you, then you can see we have so many of these stuffs here, and I haven't even farmed in the past couple days. So yeah, as I said, this is a quick video on how I personally prepare and how I would recommend most of you guys to prepare. Making a couple of these items is really not a big deal for anybody in phase 4, 5, or 6 on your server, and this may just be the thing that you need when starting out at a new server. And really the worst thing that could happen is you're jumping onto a new server and you're out of materials, or you forgot to prepare something up front. So this is definitely something that I would care about. And that is it. As I said, if you have any questions or, don't understand the reasoning behind this, then feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.